Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to BWTM Sports. If you haven't subscribed already, please do hit the subscribe button. Much appreciated. Okay, so apologies once again for not doing videos as consistently as I would like to be doing them at the moment. It's just a very, very busy time. So please forgive me. Okay, so I'm going to get straight into this one. I don't need to give you the backstory of Oleksandr Usyk and BWTM Sports and James Bashir, his former trainer. We've gone over that over and over and over again, so I don't really need to go into the backstory. There's enough videos on the channel for you to know about the backstory. But to spare you all the backstory, we're going to go straight into this one. We know that Oleksandr Usyk is preparing to fight Anthony Joshua on, I believe, September the 25th. The stories come out. I think it's September the 25th anyway, but it's in late September anyway. And I've been saying since Oleksandr Usyk moved to heavyweight, he's not been the impressive fighter that he was down at cruiserweight. And I said that since Uncle Bashir, or James Bashir, had his services were no longer required by Team Usyk, Usyk's performances weren't actually getting better. They were progressively getting worse. Usyk's fans, however, will argue me tooth and nail and tell me that his performances have been satisfactory since he has turned to the heavyweight division. But performances against Chaz Witherspoon, which wasn't impressive, against Derek Chisora, which almost was a life and death struggle. His fight against Tony Bellew wasn't great. A lot of this stuff I've said to you before, and I've said that now he goes into this fight against Anthony Joshua, who is in his camp to make the changes. The way I'm seeing it is Usyk's making the same mistakes that a young Lennox Lewis made when he first became champion. You know, Lennox Lewis, before he got knocked out by Oliver McCall, was using a lot of his amateur style in the pro ranks. And that was where he was getting his great success. Because he was an Olympic gold medalist, you know, he had fundamentals that were there, better than most heavyweight boxers around at the time, at that standard at the time where he was boxing. And of course, Emmanuel Stewart came in, took the right hand away, brought in Oliver McCall, knocked out Lennox Lewis. The rest is history. You know what happened. Oleksandr Usyk has been throwing the dice, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of his heavyweight journey, because he's inching closer and closer to get himself brutally knocked out, because his performances are not getting better. His last fight against Derek Chisora, I will remind you, if you didn't know, he went to the Ukrainian press afterwards and said on his way to he didn't know the size of the ring before he actually went out to fight that night. You probably say, well, what has this got to do with this fight with Joshua? Hear me out. This is the same guy that said in the first or second round got clipped by Derek Chisora, and he said he was darkness. He was dazed when he got hit by Derek Chisora. Now, Derek Chisora is no great puncher. He's a decent, heavy-handed type of guy, and at a certain level, he'll knock certain guys out. But you wouldn't call Derek Chisora a world-class puncher. You would call him a devastating one-punch knockout puncher. You'd say he was his strength and his will to win is what keeps him in fights, and what you know, his will to win and just keep coming and keep plugging away. But he's not a one-punch knockout artist to say. More like you've got worn down, and then he'll land a barrage and knock you over at the highest level. And this is the guy that Usyk was troubled by, punch-wise. Yes, he didn't go down, but he openly admitted that. In the Chaz Witherspoon fight, I noticed when Chaz clipped him, he didn't like it. This is Chaz Witherspoon and Derek Chisora. Now he's going in. He avoided the Joe Joyce situation, because I said Joe Joyce would have walked straight through him. And when I said it, people laughed at me, as they like to laugh at me. But John Fury said the same thing. Tyson Fury said the same thing, and people are all up now listening to it because these guys know their boxing. So now he's going to fight Anthony Joshua. And I said, going into this Joshua fight, who is there to correct Oleksandr Usyk? Who's advising Oleksandr Usyk? Well, check this out and listen to this, and you tell me. And this is from our the information's come directly from our European, Eastern European correspondent, who is part Ukrainian, living in Canada, Eugene. So let me get this in for you now, and you can hear for yourself firsthand what's going on in Usyk's camp, and then you can tell me what you think. Okay, so this is from the information I'm getting from Eugene. He says this: Usyk has uploaded a recent video about his training. Now, I haven't watched any videos recently. I just get information sent to me. He said his strength and conditioning coach said he has been doing CrossFit for 20 weeks, almost 5 months, and that they push him further than the point at which he himself gives up. And he asked me, when you next talk to Uncle Bashir, ask him how much it takes to get Usyk to give up, because he screams overtraining all over. He screams overtraining. So basically, he's talking about Usyk overtraining. Oh, and that he's abnormally growing. They haven't stated the numbers, but the talk is 230 pounds to 225 pounds minimum. So they're bulking Usyk up. Not that Usyk already is slower at heavyweight and getting hit with right hands anyway, and Derek Chisora is able to hit him. For those, well, Usyk's fast enough, has got great footwork. He's getting hit by Chaz Witherspoon and Derek Chisora, and those two are not exactly the fastest heavyweights in the world. He says very suspect. Wouldn't be surprised to hear about him pissing hot soon, but this is just pure speculation. He then goes on to confirm today to me, Usyk's conditioning coach just confirmed his weight to be 104 to 105 kilograms, which is 229 to 231 pounds. Okay. His current team says previous coaches, which would basically be James Ali Bashir, left them a broken product, and now I'm working on making him unlearn certain things so he can punch harder. Are you listening to this? Are you listening to this? His current team says previous coaches left them with a broken product. Well, the last time people were talking about Oleksandr Usyk under James Ali Bashir was a Glowacki performance, and on that night they said he moved around the ring like a young Ali. His footwork was like that. Commentators were saying how he glided around the ring, how his movement was so good around the ring against a world-class fighter in Glowacki at the time. He was the WBO champion, just come off knocking out Marco Huck, who at that time was making, I think it's 14th or 15th defense, or it might have been his 20th defense. It was a record-breaking defense at the time that Glowacki, or Glowacki, however you want to pronounce it, knocked out Huck. So Glowacki didn't knock Huck out, and Huck was a bum. This was a legit top cruiserweight, okay? And that's what Uncle Bashir worked with him. And then the fight after that, I think they fought, I think it might have made a defense in Tuno. And then they got rid of Uncle Bashir. So this is what's going on with Usyk at the moment. He's bulking up. The people around Usyk now, the think tank around Oleksandr Usyk, believed that what Bashir was teaching him was not right. And now they're going to try and make Usyk into be a puncher. So training heavyweights is different to training any other fighters, any other weight categories, because you're working with a situation where One punch, literally one punch, can end the whole night. You could be ahead on a fight, one shot, bang. The heavyweight division is so different, and engaging is so different. So in the heavyweight division, for example, like use the Klitschko's for example, you notice they'll only throw maybe 1, 2, 3 punch combinations. So the left jab, the right hand. They will not throw many uppercuts. Then they won't go to the body much. Everything is pretty straight. Everything's pretty straight. So they only 1, 2, 3 punches are probably the most they'll throw because they don't want to get countered. This is something that he managed to taught the Klitschko's to 1, 2, 3 punches, keeping it straight, keeping it long, keeping it just don't get engaged. Particularly Vlad because of his not so great chin. I divert for a second to come back. So these guys are training Usyk to become bigger, stronger, and to punch harder. So you take away footwork, defensive responsibilities, and you take away the essence of what Oleksandr Usyk is. So for those people that would be tuning to see the Oleksandr Usyk that did so well as an undisputed cruiserweight champion, forget it. You're not going to see that. You're going to see guys moving from basically James Ali Bashir, who's had 40 years in plus as a trainer, to some bodybuilders trying to build Usyk up to be muscle man to match Anthony Joshua in one fight. This is not like Evander Holyfield, where Evander Holyfield came into the heavyweight division and he built himself up gradually. You know what I mean? And then he got his weights wrong when he fought Bowe the first time. He came in too light against Riddick Bowe. And he put a little bit more weight on for the second fight. It's not like that. This is a guy who's consistently been disappointing in the heavyweight division. And people are saying, well, this is the fight. Usyk could turn the tables on Anthony Joshua. The way he's training at the moment, he's bulking himself up, which means he's going to be slower. Or with him being slower, he's going to be even more easier to hit. You know, if you're going to go and fight Anthony Joshua, what you really want to be using is your speed to be as quick as possible, to get in and out, to be able to come at angles from Joshua, to make him miss, to make him pay. But now you're going to come in and bulk up. So what you want to have a physical fight with Anthony Joshua? I understand you want to have a certain amount of physical strength to be able to push him off you if you need to, but your footwork should be able to get you in and out. Particularly someone like Alexander's skill set, he should be getting caught in the ropes. But again, he hasn't got the team, all the tacticians, all the boxing science. He hasn't got the science behind him now to deal with this fight with Joshua. And he's already getting hit with right hands by Chisora. He's getting hit with right hands by Tony Bellew. He's getting hit with right hands by Chas Witherspoon. God forbid, he'd be eating right hand after right hand from Anthony Joshua. And if he said he saw lights then against Chisora, he's going to get a rude awakening when he fights Joshua. Joshua isn't, I wouldn't say Joshua is as stiff as people have made him out to be. He's actually become a lot more looser in his boxing. If you look at the rematch he had against Ruiz, you saw him show a little bit of movement there. And then you see the fight against Pulev. So the speed that would have been an advantage for Usyk coming into this fight against Joshua won't be there. That's the first thing. So that's speed. So he's going to be slower, easier to hit. And because he hasn't fought at that weight before, there's always the big possibility because of lactic acid. And Usyk down the stretch, I wouldn't say he didn't convince me down the stretch as a heavyweight against Chisora, his stamina is the greatest. He's going to have lactic acid to deal with. A lot of that's where the acid gets into the muscles, and then it ties brings the fatigue a lot faster. He does not want to be fatiguing against Anthony Joshua. So, to me, this does not bode well for Oleksandr Usyk. It doesn't bode well. So they're doing some kind of Rocky style training to prepare for Anthony Joshua. It's fine, but it's not. Is it professional? Is it proven? Does it work? Surely you would want to bulk up and have a fight first, bulked up to see what you're going to be like come fight night. You really don't want to be taking chances at this time. You don't really want to be taking chances in the biggest fight of your career, a guy that a lot of the heavyweights don't want to fight, and then you want to bulk up by 20, 25 pounds in the biggest fight of your career, where you need your movement the most. It's extremely risky. And then your performances as a heavyweight so far have been, pardon my French, piss poor. You know, I'm going to say something here that probably a lot of fight fans don't want to hear, but boxing media, for the most part, is trash. It's about celebrating garbage, celebrating just things that don't really matter. And the fighters, the quality fighters that we have, get sidelined and ignored or marginalized to promote YouTubers. This is the world we're in today. We're in a world of YouTubers, commentators that don't know what they're talking about, and a world of boxing now, which, frankly, as far as I'm concerned, is at its lowest point. If we're having to get, if YouTubers are coming out of nowhere and getting top of the bill and getting paid more than the professional fighters, those who've been Olympic champions and world champions and world-class fighters are not getting paid like these YouTubers are getting paid. Where are we going? Where are we going with the sport? Where are the standards? I said a while back, I talked about fighters coming out of retirement to box in a league. And you all looked at me and laughed at me. Now what's happening? Now we're hearing stories that Carl Froch could be coming back to fight Roy Jones Jr. in an exhibition bout. There was story about Enzo Macronelli making a comeback as well. So everyone's on the comeback trail at the moment. And why are they able to come back on the comeback trail? Because there was a standard back then. There was the skill sets were better back then, because back then you had great trainers and you could trace back where the great trainers were coming from. Today's trainers, if you were to ask a lot of the trainers today where they came from, who did they learn from? A lot of them are self-taught. You know what I mean? Self-appointed. They haven't had to spend, 5 or 8 years watching a master at work. And that's the difference. People think flashy pads is the answer, and they're losing the science of the sport. And you've got commentators that haven't got a clue on how to watch fights and score fights. I said before, and I'll say it again, there needs to be a gold standard in boxing. A gold standard in boxing, which would mean is what constitutes a good referee? What constitutes a good judge? What constitutes a good trainer? what constitutes a good fighter. Not by hearsay, not by a biased magazine or by biased media, but by actual proven facts. What is a good fighter? So people say, well, Floyd Mayweather is a defensive genius. Forget about your personal opinions. The guy is a certain standard. And we need to have a gold standard as to what these standards are. So people can say, okay, that's the standard to look towards. Or else any old rubbish is allowed. Therefore, Jake Paul and Logan Paul are able to come into the boxing world because there's no standards. So these guys can just come off the street, quite literally, and start doing boxing matches. And people are paying money to watch these guys fight. You know what I mean? And just to make a comment, oh, Floyd did knock out Logan Paul. Guy's still 35 pounds heavier than him. 35 pounds. And the rest. People are not saying, why didn't Logan Paul knock out Floyd Mayweather? They're not saying that. The guy was 35 pounds heavier. If you were to watch that fight on the street, this big dude versus this little guy, you would expect the big dude to knock the little guy out. You would expect the little guy to be punching up the big dude, would you? So, in my closing thoughts, like I said, the chickens are coming home to roost when it comes to Oleksandr Usyk. He is going to be a sitting duck for Anthony Joshua, and Anthony Joshua is going to punch right hand straight through him. If this fight goes 8 rounds, it goes a long time. I expect Anthony Joshua to do a number on Oleksandr, unless he walks onto something stupid. He's going to knock Oleksandr Usyk into tomorrow. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Telling you, that's the way I'm seeing it. That's the way I'm seeing it. Because Usyk isn't a puncher at heavyweight, that's clear. He hasn't put the performance on as a heavyweight so far. And putting on 20 extra pounds of weight and muscle to go against Mr. Muscle is not unadvisable. Well, Usyk going to be running all night. Well, he might be running all night, Captain, but there's going to be a problem when he goes running. He's going to be running, but he's going to feel like he's got chains on him. He is not going nowhere. He's going to run in. The only running he's doing is running into a right hand, my friend. That's it. He'll be running into a right hand. Good evening, Denise. It's always good to see you in the room. Hope that you're well. So that's my thoughts on Oleksandr Usyk, Logan Paul, and Floyd Mayweather. And there needs to be a gold standard. And when I say there needs to be a gold standard in boxing, there also needs to be a gold standard, meaning that if a referee has a poor night, he needs to be suspended. If a judge has a poor night, he needs to be suspended. Because if a fighter gets knocked out and has a bad night, he gets suspended. So there needs to be consequences to judges and referees when they put on poor performances, and they have to think twice before they do the things they do, the corrupt things that they do. And there needs to be a gold standard in media as well, because there's too much trash in media today, too much garbage. There needs to be proper standards. You know, what constitutes good media? Because we know that the majority of the media, and it's proven now, what I've been saying for so long, it's been proven now, and it was well exposed by the Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua debacle. It was well exposed there that 98% of the media was running with Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. And the real media, the alternative media, thank you very much, Deontay Wilder, who gave a shout out to. The independent media, those who are not bought and tied to by promoters and have some say, told you Wilder and Fury will fight in the summer. And we are where we are today. So if that doesn't teach you anything, then it is what it is. What's your take in Fury's IG with mental health hope angle? Listen, I'm going to say this. Mental health is not something to be joked about. It's a serious matter. However, if Fury is in a position where he's mentally not fit to fight, he shouldn't be fighting. He's a grown man, and we know that previously Fury has pulled out of the Klitschko rematch. We know that he did fight Wilder in a rematch, but he really wasn't interested in the third fight. I didn't watch the ID, so I don't know. I can't comment. But I do know one thing, is that Wilder is he wants blood. He wants blood. This ain't a joke. This isn't a joke. This isn't pantomime. This isn't a hype. This is real. And if he believes, if you listen to the lamestream media, which I call it, if you listen to lamestream media, you'll be led to believe that Deontay Wilder is a madman. Even when Deontay Wilder was clearly giving you signs, he was fighting Tyson Fury next, Kazar, eye for an eye. He was telling you without telling you. This guy has always been talking in code, and you need to listen to what this guy is saying and not listen to what the media's trying to tell you he's saying. They've been speaking in code, and they more or less tell you to your face, we got the evidence, we got the proof, and you all want to stay there and lie and say what you want to say about me. That's fine, that's okay, but it's all going to come out. This stuff is all going to come out. What way do I see the fight going? Well, I will go back to what I said for the second fight, for the third fight. What I expected for the second fight, I expect to see in the third fight. All being on a level playing field. This fight will be very different. This fight will be very, very, very different. Very, very, very different. That's all I'm saying. It'll be very different. It'll play it different to what people expect. I expect. But there will be a conclusion to this fight. There will be a knockout. There will definitely be a knockout in the third fight, for sure. For sure. For sure. And proceed with caution when you write off a man that is prepared to lose his life to seek justice. That's a different type of man. That's a different type of animal. This is no longer become a boxing match. And I keep on stressing this. And this is not a joke. This is not a fake. Nah, it's not fake. This is real. And Yes, Liv. Good to see you streaming, Ingram. Can Tyson ever play the same tricks again with any boxer, assuming the gloves were not right? Now, if you listen to what Wilder said, I said it was coded. If you listen to what he said in his when he was talking, he mentioned about the stuff they got away with before, they won't get away with again. The stuff they got away with before, they won't get away with again. Go back and listen to the interview. Listen to what Wilder's saying. He's talking in code. He's letting you know we've got evidence. We've got this guy banged to rights. He thinks he's going to get away with it. He ain't getting away. He thought he got away with it, but he's not getting away with it. And those people who said, well, Wilder's crazy, he's a madman, and that contract expired. If not, something goes off your brain and goes, wow, this is a madman who said that his contract hadn't expired. But wait, he's fighting Fury again. I said that Wilder had Fury by the balls. I said he had it. Literally, that contract hadn't expired. And Fury hadn't fought since they last fought. So to me, there was a contract that needed to be honored. So all those people that lied to you and told you, nah, it's all right, Joshua and Fury are going to fight. It wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to happen. And we told you this from December time, we told you. Chris was on here telling you, you didn't want to listen. You didn't want to listen. So don't take Wilder out to be a madman. Don't take him out to be a madman. And don't ever, and I'll always say on this show, don't ever underestimate the boxing gods. Don't mess with the boxing gods. I keep saying it. I remember saying it before Bernard Hopkins fought Joe Smith Jr. I said, don't ever mess with the boxing gods. And he made a comment once, I'll never let a white man beat me. I'll never let a white man beat me. Well, a white man didn't just beat you. He knocked you through the ropes and out of a boxing ring, and he never came back. That's what he said. The boxing gods are unforgiving. The boxing gods are unforgiving. We've had clues about this whole Tyson Fury situation. We've had clues. But if it doesn't happen in a press conference, if it doesn't happen after this fight, now it will be interesting to see what happens after this fight. Because just with Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson, the second fight, Mike knew Evander Holyfield wasn't PEDs. But Mike didn't want to blow between 60 and 80 million. You heard that on this channel through Mike's former trainer, Stacey McKinley. But if you seeking blood and you really want to destroy a man that badly, you're not going to ruin anything that will jeopardize him getting back in that ring. Now, you know that guy's got to get back in the ring. You know that guy's got to get back in the ring because he's contracted to do that. And Fury's been making losses, according to Bob Arum. And Bob was always quick to tell you about a loss. I'm making losses. He told you about Terence Crawford making losses. Fury in America has been a failure. That's what Bob Arum said. And he wants his money back. So he's got to take this Wilder fight. So who do you believe? Do you believe the same people that told you that Fury and and Joshua are going to happen for all this time? Are you going to continue listening to these media outlets? Or are you going to stop and say, yeah, well, I've been made a bit of a clown of over December, January, February, March, April, May. I've been made a fool of for quite a long time. Am I going to start listening to some alternative media and maybe look at this a different way? Now, Wilder wants him in the ring. He wants him in the ring. And the way Wilder's talking, I said before, when a guy beats you fair and square, there's a different conversation to when you know a guy has done something that's not right. And I keep on saying it. When somebody does something that's not right, didn't play by the rules, there's a different energy to a guy that's, you know what, you beat me fair and square. And all that rubbish about your world that doesn't want to fight, he doesn't want to fight Fury. I don't know who these people are that come up with this rubbish. I don't know who they are. They obviously either haven't boxed before, they're not competitive, they don't have any sort of ego, or they have no sort of pride about them, because any man that got embarrassed the way Wilder did and kind of, we'd say, he was taken advantage of, and that's how he feels he was taken advantage of. You want to put it right. You want the opportunity to put it right. So people will spin and sell narratives just to ensure they get what they want. So the next time you listen to people, you listen to people in chat rooms and YouTube, particularly YouTube, and they leave comments like, he don't want to fight. There are people, you know, who genuinely don't want to fight. You know them, because every time a fight's offered to them, there's always an excuse. Terence Crawford is becoming that guy, that no matter what fight's offered to him, just hush, you don't hear anything. Now, I don't know that. I don't know if that's because he's still with Bob and he wants to get out of that contract. I don't know if that's the case. Or I don't know if he genuinely wants to stay comfortable. Because some guys will just say, you know what, I'm not fighting again. I'm going to run my contract down. And when I can get out of this contract, I will. Let's see what it says here. The delusional Usyk fans will be put to rest in September, I think. Well, yeah, I think so. You're right, and I always listen. Thank you. That's a great point. A lot of people they don't listen. They don't listen. And a lot of them are listening. Remember, a lot of these people are listening to write further trash headlines. That's what it is. I'm telling you, it's only when, and it's coming. Remember, Uncle Ingram told you, it's only a matter of time before one of these boxers take one of these media outlets to call. It's only a matter of time before it happens. One of these media outlets needs to be taught a lesson. And when it happens, it'll be good. And when that happens, one of these lamestream medias, I hope that they get taken to the cleaners, good and proper. One of these well-known media outlets, taken to the cleaners, good and proper, and it be a lesson to all these other upstarts that want to report garbage and propaganda. Fury might do a Billy Joel. What's the odds he'll retire after one loss? What are the odds that after the fight he won't be able to fight because of the revelations that come out, and they just wait until the fight is over for the revelations to come out? What about that? Greetings, Ingram. Thanks for jumping on with us and sharing. You're welcome. No problems. I hope the connection's clear. So yeah, that's the information I've got about Usyk. We'll know soon enough about Oleksandr Usyk, but I wouldn't have been advising him to bulk up against Anthony Joshua. I'd be getting him to work on speed, in and out movement. I would make Joshua commit with the jab, make him commit, and then nail him and be out of there. And when get close time up, Mr. Ramon, how are you, my brother? Long time no see. Long time no see, brother. Long time no see. How you been? Many changes, and soon we'll talk about it. So we'll just wait and see. But all these people that say, Fury's never cheated, he could never have cheated. This is a guy that got banned for 2 years for obviously doing something he shouldn't have been doing. So, and there was this one gentleman who decided, and this is people who feel that because I did videos with certain fighters, that because I did those videos with them 3, 4, 5 years ago, that I should always stay with that narrative. If a person's doing right, a person's doing right. And if a person's looking dubious, a person's looking dubious. And if a person gives me cause of concern, I'm going to speak about it. It doesn't mean I hate them. It doesn't mean that it just means that, hey, I'm looking at this and I'm not sure about this and I need to look at it further. Am I saying flat out that Fury's a cheat? No. What I am saying is that there is enough on the table for me to believe, to be suspicious enough for me to say, nah, this guy ain't no angel. I just need tangible proof. When I mean tangible, I mean to the point where it has not just come from hearsay, what one fighter said or what another fighter said. You start to collect evidence from what fighters have said, but you actually get some lab proof. You start getting blood tests, blood samples coming back, and those gloves being, like, for example, the time when the same week or the week after the Wilder fight, where they were exposing the gloves of Fury, and the same gloves that Fury type brand Fury was wearing, another guy got caught with that same brand of gloves, and of course got exposed to not having padding in it. So what I'm saying is this: there's always going to be people out there to detract truth, particularly in the boxing community. The boxing community, if the boxing community was more truthful and more honest, if promoters were more honest about contracts, if fighters were more honest about how they feel about taking certain fights, I think the boxing world would be a better place for it. But because of the constant lies and spin, they're as bad, the boxing world is as bad as politics. It is. Yes, here. I would not bulk up against AJ. I'd be getting Takam in there to help me with the boxing until he got prematurely stopped. Takam was doing well. I don't think Usyk can take a hit. I wonder why it's scheduled so late in C. Okay. Well, according to Bashir, he seems to be able to take a good punch, but we'll see. Show, please show, please show, please show. This thing's freezing up. So annoying. I'll read what it said. Trust me, I'm doing good, my friend. Well, it's good to hear. Thank you so much for that. Take this off. I hide that. He posts, UK posted, Fury wanting dead or alive, LOL. Salute, big bro. Right, we're back. So annoying. Hey, now it's working. Ah, good. Yes, bruv, you know your stuff. Quality opinions, love from Edmonton, London. Old Stomping Grounds, old Edmonton there. Jason Getson. It's good to see you, brother. Good to see you. It's fair to say Matchroom have some of the worst matchmakers. I've said it for so long. They've got terrible matchmakers. I hope Wilder gets revenge. Last fight suspect. It is suspect. Even you're saying it's suspect. Can't hear or see you, bro. So he goes here, back here, comment this, go back up here. UCAD posted Fury wanted dead or alive, LOL. Salute, big fan of your videos. Thank you so much, much appreciated. It's always nice to get a bit of love. I do want to finish this off. I had to end up blocking somebody who said they'd known me for many years on YouTube. I have to make this very clear. My opinions are based on what I see, what I read, what I hear, and the research and the many years of building contacts and interviews and people getting on the phone or tweeting me or phoning me and saying, look, you know, this is going on, that's going on, right? Not all these opinions that I have are based on my own personal opinion, because a lot of the times I'm repeating stuff that I've learned from masters within the sport, people who have accomplished so much more than I have in boxing, in the sport of boxing. So, you know, and I'm not gonna just sit here and have opinions that are just to please people. And I'm not going to sit here to just either sit on the fence. And I've been around too long now to just do things to please people. If I can speak the truth, or at least stay as close to the truth as possible, then that's fine. When I say stay as close to the truth as possible, is that you research something, you look at it, you present the facts. And then something may come out after, say, oh, I didn't see that. Thank you for that piece of information. I'm first one to put up and say, you know what? I didn't get this right. I didn't get that right. But I'm certainly not going to start changing my style and or lacking integrity just to make a few people feel comfortable. The truth is sometimes uncomfortable, I'm afraid to say. And that's what I've always prided the channel on, to talk and speak the truth. It's not about being first. It's about being right, you know? Do you think Top Rank will do well versus DAZN? Who will get the fans' attention? Well, you see the whole DAZN thing. Look, Bob and Hearn, right? I don't trust neither of them. Bob's the kind of guy that will turn and say to you, that cat over there, he's terrible. He's horrible. He's disastrous. He's the worst thing to. And then about 10 minutes later on, Bob and him will think, okay, so when we can discuss the next fight. That's Bob Arum. That's many of these promoters, apart from Hearn and Warren. That's genuine. But the rest, don't trust them. I don't trust them. Don't trust them. They'll sit down and tell you, I hate. You see, now that Hearn's gone to DAZN, he needs some. Maybe he can cause he can have a SmackDown versus Raw. You've got to remember that Pantomime Hearn, which is why I call him Pantomime Hearn. He reminds me very much. I think he watched too much WWE or WWF. I think he thinks he's Shane McMahon, right? I think he thinks he's Shane McMahon, and his old pops is Vince McMahon, and they're running the WWE, right? So they've got to have a SmackDown versus Raw. So I think that's where Eddie's mind is. I think he actually thinks he's Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon's cool, but I told you, boxing is going down the WWE route. I've said it. I've said it, and it's just playing itself out. The only thing we haven't got yet in boxing, and you heard it here first yet again, is to have YouTubers commentating in YouTube boxing booths. That'd be it. All you need to do is have, let's say 1 week you've got one YouTuber from one channel supporting Tyson Fury, another YouTuber from another channel supporting Deontay Wilder. You put them both in the same booth and you get them commentating on the fight. That would be actually comedy gold watching it. It's like the football. You've got like Manchester United versus Man City. One team scores, the guy in there who's just had the, have just scored a goal against his team. He's mortified, particularly if the goalkeeper's made a mistake and it's been a shocking goal. And you see, and the next minute you see they equalise. So from the drama of and being so distraught, next minute excited. That's what needs to happen in boxing. They need to do that. That's something that needs to happen. And like I said, more judges, more referees need to be punished. And I also think pay-per-views need to have a standard. We need to go back to the 80s and the early 90s of pay-per-view events. There's a gold standard. Listen, if it ain't got a gold standard, it ain't worth paying for. Why on earth have you been? I've been waiting on the daily Stevenage rebuild career mode. Let's not go there. I will talk to you about it at another time. And there's so much I want to share. So many videos to upload. Will I be tuning to UFC tonight? No. Adesanya's fighting, isn't he, tonight? No, I'd love to, but I've got to get up early in the morning. I've got a very important day tomorrow. I've said it many times. I'd rather have one mafia to run all boxing and sanctioning than have this free for all. Who's the champion in each weight class? Question. If it's Shane, who's the Hulkster? AJ? The Hulkster. Who's the Hulkster? It can't be AJ. Would be a Hulkster. Who in the WWE would be the Hulkster? Probably Tony Bellew. Tony Bellew. Tony Bellew or Carl Froch. But they've got to be likable, though. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. Fury is gold dust, that's for sure. Oh, God. Will you be watching the England game tomorrow? Clint Bell, Tottenham, LOL. Why do you sound... I'm pecking 2 punches to the head, but I know what you're talking about. Would love to. A bit difficult at the moment. That's all I can say about that. But yeah, wishing England all the best tomorrow, by the way. And by the way, shout out to Gareth Southgate. He's more of a man than I ever thought he would be. Gareth Southgate, for what you stand up for and what you believe and how you want your English team to be, I like it. I like what Southgate stands for. Look, I'm going off of boxing now. Right, let me get out of here. Wasn't Holyfield meant to be fighting tonight? Oh, by the way, Mike Tyson is due to be fighting again in September. Has anybody heard any news about Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson? Have you heard any news about that fight? Froch versus Roy Jones. Enzo Macronelli come back. What else? Pacquiao versus Spence. I spoke about that already. I will do a video on Joshua versus Usyk. and a breakdown for Shaka Stevenson tonight. And I will do a breakdown of Usyk versus Joshua, Fury versus Wilder 3. I'll do a breakdown for those videos. And Daniel Dubois, in closing, I heard shout out to Tunde Ajayi, by the way. Got to give a shout out to Tunde. It's good speaking to you. Daniel Dubois wants revenge against Joe Joyce, but he fights Dinu, and now he's talking about a world title fight. It means he's going to be fighting Trevor Bryant, because that's the only WBA title fight I can see him having. I don't know what warrants him fighting for a WBA title fight. I hope that they don't build Daniel Dubois like the next Frank Bruno. And what I mean by that is Frank Bruno's biggest problem is that his career was built on fighting a lot of guys that were not good enough. And then he fought guys that were too good. You understand? So I want you all to go back and watch a fight. And you get a chance. Watch Frank Bruno against Jumbo Cummins. Right? That was Frank Bruno. That was the first time somebody hit Frank Bruno back in the chin. Go back and watch that fight. That right there, and I always say boxers give you a sign of things to come. Couldn't actually take a big punch. And when he did get hit with a big punch, he freeze. That is what we saw there. And then subsequently goes and fights Bone Crusher Smith, and it comes back and exposes itself again. Usyk to dance round Joshua White Hart Lane. Not with that weight, he ain't dancing nowhere. Like I said, top of the show, listen to the video. I think Dubois needs 2 or 3 fights before he can even think about revenge. I think so too. I just hope that they build Dubois into being, I think, fighting with good fights, good testing fights. I think Ben's fighting Granosis. And I think it's Granosis, Adrian Granosis, the American. I think that Boats is fighting some really tough guy. That's why. So people are expecting Boats actually to lose this next fight. Why are they fighting so late in September? Well, you've got Fury Joshua. You've got Fury Wilder. That's July. And you've also got to think about availability of a stadium. So availability, ticket sales, and Usyk's not a big ticket seller, so you need some time to sell the tickets. That's what I'm guessing. But I think really logistically, it's going to be about stadiums being available, isn't it? Why is the fight at Wembley? Why is the fight at Tottenham Hotspur? Why is the fight not at the O2 Arena? Why is it at Tottenham Hotspur? Well, at least Spurs have won something. They won the Joshua and Usyk fight. And on that note, good night. Take care.